Hey, Wally, what do you hear? What do you say?
Hey, how's everyone doing today? We're just going to talk about the future about Chicago crime and the veterans in Chicago.
Tune in Mondays and Tuesdays from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Conservative Talk Radio with Pat and Wally. Should be a great show. We look forward to your engagement. We'll be talking about safety issues in the city of Chicago, how our veterans need help and assistance, better needed care. And also, too, very importantly, we are going to talk about the Chicago mayor that needs to be called out. I'm Pat.
I'm Wally.
And this is Pat and Wally's Conservative Talk. Tune in to Pat and Wally's Conservative Talk on Mondays and Tuesdays from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., starting June 5th.
The views and opinions in the following show do not necessarily reflect that of this station or its ownership.
Welcome to the Pat and Wally's Conservative Talk on WCGO 1590 AM or 95.9 FM. Today we have a great conservative guest, and I'm with my co-host, Walter. Hey, Wally, what do you hear? What do you say?
Hello, Chicago.
And we have a special conservative guest today, a great conservative guest, Miss Jeanne Ives. Jeanne, what do you hear? What do you say?
I say thank you for having me.
Okay. You have quite a great resume. You were... for the 42nd District, Illinois House Representative, is that correct, from 2013 to 2019?
Yes.
Okay. You ran for governor in 2018 against Rino Rauner.
Yes.
Yes. And you almost beat this guy.
Yes.
Yes. Very impressive. With 51 to 48%, Wally.
Yes.
51 to 48, just a 3% difference.
Just under 3, actually, but yeah.
Really? Mm-hmm. That's very
about 20,000 votes.
Wow. Incredible. And you served in the United States Army, right? From
yes.
1987 to 1993. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you went to military school?
I did. I did go to West Point. Mm-hmm. Graduated too.
God bless you.
Nice.
Thank you for serving our country. That's
Thank
unbelievable. So a little bit about you. You are currently a Central Committeewoman. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm on the Republican State Central Committee. I represent the 3rd Congressional District.
Very cool. Okay. Mm-hmm. And you currently have a radio show, too.
Well, that is just starting up. I do have a brand new radio show starting on WIND AM 560 Sunday nights, 7 to 9 p.m. It will be a live show, so we welcome listeners and people who want to call in and add to the conversation.
That's very cool. And what is the show called?
It's called The Real Story with Jeanne Ives. I'm just going with the podcast that I started about 2 years ago. We're going to go with the same name.
Very nice.
We were, actually batting around. What else do you call it? Mm-hmm. Some of the comments were like truth matters, honest talk, whatever. But, when it gets right down to it, we just want to put real people who are involved in the issues in front of our listeners and have real conversations, not from political pundits, but really from people who are practitioners of the policy. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Would you say right now Illinois is in a very bad state with the bad pension, high crime, and everything? I'm trying to think of something good about Illinois at the moment, but it's not coming to me.
Well, all the underlining goodness about Illinois, it comes from a number of different facets. One, it does really have good people. There are good people in this state, and I've met a number of them, and they're everywhere. They're from Chicago down to Decatur. You'll find good people everywhere, people that are really concerned. It's got other underlying assets that you can't find anywhere else. Access to fresh water. We have the second most number of railroad miles, for example. Okay. 76% of our ground is farmland. You've got a wealth of knowledge in our universities. We've got great medical care here. You've got 34 Fortune 500 companies that are located here, even though we've lost some. Right. Unfortunately, we're losing them. Yes. That stinks. So you've got world-class universities. You've got everything about Illinois is an underlying strength. It is the Midwest hub. We have the largest inland port. We've got the whole Joliet corridor that's really built up with warehousing and all sorts of things going on there. I mean, so we should be naturally a real booming economy. That's what we should have in the state. There's no doubt about it. At one point, we had much lower electrical rates than other states that we were competing with. And if you're doing anything in manufacturing that takes a lot of electricity, especially chemical manufacturing, that is a huge input to your operation, and you're going to try and get the best price. But it's just unfortunate. Like the politicians that have been running the state now for decades are completely upside down when it comes to policy and wanting to attract business. It feels like everything that they do to attract business requires some sort of subsidy, some sort of tax credit to sort of try to entice them, and then they still lose out on the deal. I mean, here, look, you've got J.B. Pritzker, you've got Democrats, you've even got really soft Republicans all in for this whole electrification of everything that we do.
Right.
First of all, it's unworkable, it's unreliable, it's nonsense, it doesn't work. But, I mean, Pritzker's big thing is he wanted to have an EV battery manufacturer come here. Well, the state lost out on 18 different EV manufacturers that they tried to entice here. They're just like, no, we know you like us. We know you want to give us some tax credits and stuff, but no, we're going to go to a right-to-work state. We're going to go to a state that has less litigation when it covers employee issues, workers' comp, or whatever it might be. We're going to go to a state that doesn't have all these myriad of requirements on its employers that you must do this, you must do that, you must do that. We're going to go to a state that doesn't require us to, for example, tell us what the diversity of our board is.
Right.
Right. There's and then so we just kill ourselves despite our natural advantages. From really growing our economy to what it should be.
That's why Indiana has eclipsed Illinois in population.
Oh, no, it hasn't eclipsed them in population.
Not yet?
No.
Okay.
Maybe out migration, or in migration, out migration. But, no, we're still the 6th populous state.
Okay.
But Pennsylvania eclipsed us.
See.
We used to be the 5th. About 3 years ago, Pennsylvania eclipsed us. They are now the 5th most populous state. Illinois has taken 6th. We've lost a congressional seat. Oh, gosh, I think we've lost a congressional seat in every single redistricting year, which happens on every decade since, I think, 1930. So, yeah. Yeah. And, in fact, this last one in 2020, this last census then, was the first time that we have literally lost population. So...
Yep.
I mean, we've lost out migration, but we're talking overall population. So when you include immigrants, births, and all that.
Sure. In the city of Chicago in the last 2 years, over 80,000 people has left the city.
Sure.
They don't want nothing to do with it. The high crime,
No, and they're all fleeing to, DuPage County, which, and then they're bringing their politics with them, which creates its own other conundrum.
Right.
Yeah.
Blue wave.
Yeah.
Would you say there's a lot of more Democrats in the city and in Illinois, progressives?
In the Chicagoland?
Yeah.
Oh,
going
for
into
sure.
the suburbs.
For sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Drifting to the suburbs. Sure. Absolutely. That's happening. Yeah. Will County, Lake, DuPage are all getting a number of migrants coming out of the city and looking for safer streets, better parks, better schools, although none of the schools are great, better schools. And, yeah, that's what they're looking for.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Pritzker, he totally destroyed the businesses with these COVID restrictions, as you know, left and right. And Bailey, he fought him in court. And I believe his area, they didn't have to have those restrictions.
No.
Right.
Well, at the end of the day, what happened is with COVID restrictions, the state had these overarching, mandates on business. But, how do you control the activity of 12.8 million people in every single small town, in every single establishment, in every single business? I mean, that's really difficult to do and to enforce. So, after a while, people are like, forget it. Right. We're just opening up. I can't afford this anymore. I don't care what sort of PPP support you give from the federal government. Oh, by the way, it's a total shakedown. It's a racket for anybody else who didn't get it. I mean, we're just paying to have you people not work. What the hell's that?
Sure.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, we had this group called Rebel Diners, and we would find these restaurants who are like, defying the orders. And we would go there and intentionally go there to support their businesses because they were defying Pritzker's lockdown order.
I think it was totally BS.
Yeah. So, yeah.
You know, and that's part of the reason why I think businesses closed down left and right, moved out, or whatever the case may be. Would you say that, would that be one of the reasons COVID destroyed business?
Certainly, there was certainly an uptick in population loss with COVID, and you could feel that anecdotally as parents moved out to give their kids an opportunity for in-person learning,
right?
Or to even just participate in sports. I mean, there are some really great high school athletes where they have a window junior and senior year to really prove themselves up if they want to become get a scholarship, and you can't hold out for these guys to get, to open up sports. There's only a certain amount of window of opportunity for your high school athlete to succeed. And so, yeah, there was people that just left, for sure. Yep.
And this whole gender ideology, speaking of sports, that's getting out of whack with these liberals,
Yeah, no, it's crazy. We just had a story go viral because Riley Gaines picked it up. We wrote about it on my website. You can visit it there. Breakthrough-ideas.com is the name of our website. And we just had a story go viral because Riley Gaines tweeted it out. And it is about this 16-year-old swimmer who was swimming for the YMCA down in Springfield, Illinois. She noticed that there were a couple guys hanging out in the locker room. Happens to be that they were there right when the girls were changing after swim practice. And she felt very uncomfortable. She knew there were eyes on her from these guys. She's covering up with a towel trying to change modestly. And she walked out to her swim coach, said, look, there's guys in the locker room here. He's like, there's nothing I can do about it. The YMCA administration's like, there's nothing we can do about it. Otherwise, we can't be discriminatory. And they asked can't they had some parent meetings and the parents asked, can't they change in the gender neutral bathroom or the family bathroom that is just a private space for one individual? No, that would be discriminatory. They asked, well, can't you even just notify the parents that this is going on so they're aware? No, we can't. That'd be discriminatory. It's all garbage.
It is.
That's not true. And of course, they're citing case law that happened in like a Hobby Lobby case, which was an employer-employee situation, not this situation. And it's the same thing happening in Park District. We just fought this 2-3 weeks ago in Wheaton. Wheaton Park District decided to sexually integrate its locker rooms, where everybody's starting to use the pool right now.
Bunch of sickles.
Everybody's starting to use the pool. They decided to sexually integrate the locker rooms, but they did it without telling the public. They did it without a vote by the board. And they got a lot of backlash from it. And their whole excuse was, we have to. It's the law. It's not the law. There's case law on portions of this discrimination based on gender identity. Since we have the Human Rights Act that included sexual orientation, gender identity as discriminatory stuff. Okay, there's a carve-out in the statute that essentially says that private facilities, i.e. locker rooms, shower rooms, health clubs, things like that, can be kept sex segregated. And everybody's ignoring the statutory law. So it's going to have to come to a lawsuit over this. It's going to have to come to a lawsuit over this.
And
sure.
Your press conference is in Springfield,
So
correct?
It's not my press conference, but the Illinois Freedom Caucus has been picking up this issue along with the family, and they are having a press conference on Thursday at 1 p.m. at Rotary Park in Springfield, Illinois.
Good.
Again, our story on this has over 50,000 views. It's gotten 3 million looks from Riley Gainer's Twitter feed.
Nice.
So we're happy to have this come to a head.
Good.
And no better place than Illinois.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
That being said, we're going to commercial break on the Pat and Wally's Conservative Talk. We would like to hear from you. 877-711-5611. Thank you.
Your own podcast can be frustrating.
Test 1, 2.
which is why I'm glad to be introducing the brand new multi-format network. We offer digital media, podcasting, and radio broadcasting professional standard production and syndication. Whether you're looking to bolster and polish your business presentations for a Zoom interview, host your podcast, or push your nationally syndicated radio broadcast to a satellite, we can facilitate your every need. So when you're ready to look, sound, and be professional, don't just try to do it yourself. Contact the professionals at the new multi-format network, the Multi-Format Network. From professional syndication to personal vindication, we've got your back. Shoot us an email, mfngeneralmanager@gmail.com. mfngeneralmanager@gmail.com.
Hello, radio listeners. Welcome to WCGO 1590 AM or 95.9 FM. We have a new conservative show on the airwaves, and it's called Pat and Wally's Conservative Talk. I'm your co-host, Pat Gibbons. That being said, I'm going to pass the mic on to my friend and co-host, Wally. Hey, Wally, what do you hear? What do you say?
Hey, how's everyone doing today? We're just going to talk about the future about Chicago crime and the veterans in Chicago.
Tune in Mondays and Tuesdays from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Conservative Talk Radio with Pat and Wally. Should be a great show. We look forward to your engagement. We'll be talking about safety issues in the city of Chicago, how our veterans need help and assistance, better needed care, and also, too, very importantly, we are going to talk about the Chicago mayor that needs to be called out. I'm Pat.
I'm Wally.
And this is Pat and Wally's Conservative Talk. Tune in to Pat and Wally's Conservative Talk on Mondays and Tuesdays from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. starting June 5th.
It is estimated that 1.5 million people are arrested for DUI every year in the United States. In Illinois alone, over 30,000 motorists are arrested for DUI. Driving under the influence of alcohol, marijuana, or drugs is one of the most complex of traffic charges on the books. Most people do not understand the complexities of the standardized field sobriety tests, which are horizontal gaze nystagmus, the walk and turn, and the one-leg stand test. Due to improper testing procedures, many people are wrongfully charged with DUI. Whether you have been charged with a DUI or an attorney handling DUI cases, the book DUIs Decoded explains the proper procedures for standardized field sobriety testing, breathalyzer testing, and the penalties in Illinois for driving under the influence.
Real estate, be it residential or commercial, is often a person's most significant and priciest asset. Entering into a contract to buy or sell a real estate property is much more than just filling in the missing blanks on the printed contract. It's wise to hire a lawyer to prepare or review the offer to purchase real estate and take full advantage of his legal expertise. With Mark Sheblow, you will gain an attorney with over 26 years of legal practice and one who has helped thousands of clients to buy or sell their homes or investment property. We will safeguard your interests and might be able to even negotiate a better bargain than a client without proper legal counsel ever could. Oftentimes, a prospective buyer will submit an offer without first consulting an attorney, not realizing that once the offer is accepted by the seller, it becomes a binding contract, and the terms of that contract are not easy to be changed afterwards. Likewise, as a seller, you too will benefit from first consulting an attorney before signing. Feel free to call us for consultation at the law offices of Mark Sheblow at 773-775-5050. Our website is sheblowlawoffice.com. Mark Sheblow can be reached 6 days a week at 773-775-5050, Monday through Saturday, located at 5945 North Elston Avenue in Chicago. That's attorney Mark Sheblow, 773-775-5050.
Welcome back to Pat and Wally's Conservative Talk on WCGO 1590 AM. We would love to hear a caller. Our phone number is 877-711-5611. Again, 877-711-5611. Here with guest Jeanne Ives. Hey, Jeanne.
Hey, great. Thanks for having me.
Jeanne, I voted for you in 2018. My mom voted for you. My dad voted for you. A lot of my friends voted for you. You almost beat that Rino Rauner.
Yes.
I think that's good. That's a great nickname, Rino Rauner.
Yep.
Yeah. And he lost a lot of the conservative votes. He lost against Pritzker because he sold out. Simple as that.
That's exactly right. People stayed home.
Right.
They said, you know what, we don't vote for traitors. And they saw him as a traitor to the policies that he said he had no social agenda. Ends up, all he had was his wife's social agenda, and he ended up enforcing that and put it into law. So, yeah, there's a lot of folks who just said, you know what, not my vote, not worth it.
Right. Real conservatives are pro-life, pure and simple.
Yes, they are.
He put in a bill called HB 40. Is that correct? HB 40, which instituted, even if Roe v. Wade was overturned, and it was, thank God, 5-4 decision in the United States Supreme Court, it goes down to the states, and this HB 40 bill, it stipulates no matter what, abortion will be legal in Illinois with, very little to overturn it. Is that correct? The HB 40?
HB 40 was really more about taxpayer funding of abortion.
Okay.
So it opened that spigot wide up. While we had allowed taxpayer funding of abortion in particular instances, this just completely said, no, we're funding it all the time.
Right.
And through our Medicaid program, and then, of course, there's other sources. Now they've doubled down, like insurance mandates for private insurers. They have to have abortion procedures covered as well. So they just started to snowball, but that was really about taxpayer funding of abortion. And in Illinois, if you present as pregnant and you go to a Medicaid office saying, I need help, you are presumed to be Medicaid eligible if you're pregnant. And Medicaid abortions are, now on the uptick because of that.
Interesting.
Within the first year, I think there was like a 1,700% increase in Medicaid abortions.
Wow. So conservative Republicans are forced to pay for abortions.
That's right. That's right, because of HB 40. And then, after he lost Pritzker's first act, of course, in his first session, along with the Progressive General Assembly, was to take it a step further and pass what they call the Reproductive Health Act, which is nothing more than abortion on demand at any reason. No licensing, no inspection of these abortion clinics. Don't even call the coroner. Not required anymore if a woman dies in an abortion. So they just went full out for anything you want.
Is there any way to overturn HB 40?
Well, I mean, this would take obviously a change in the legislature. So right now you've got majorities in both the House and the Senate. In the House, it's just really dismal. There's only 40 House Republicans out of 118. And so we've lost a lot of ground over the last probably 3 cycles.
And that's Rauner's legacy. He instilled that HB 40 in Illinois, which will probably, lead to the deaths of many, many babies in the future. That's his legacy.
Well, it's part of his legacy for sure. I mean, because who knows, had he not signed that, had we been more united as a party, would we be able to get together and get the messaging done to beat somebody like Pritzker? I mean, that's debatable because there was other terrible bills that Rauner was a part of. And so who knows? I think people were pretty disgusted with him overall and how he performed as a governor. And so, I mean, that was definitely the nail in the coffin.
Sure.
Would he have beaten a billionaire with unlimited resources, spent as much money as he wanted to? I don't know. It's going to be tough. I mean, but this whole thing where the Democrats decry the idea that there is money in politics, then, of course, they always vote for the guy with the money in the in the most extreme politics. I mean, J.B. Pritzker, the wealthiest governor in the United States. Arguably, if he were to get into the presidential race, he would be the wealthiest, he'd be probably the wealthiest candidate in the race. So, so this is the problem. So the hypocrisy of the Democrats saying, "Oh, get money out of politics," and then J.B. Pritzker self-funds his entire campaign. He's not taking in small dollar donors.
Right.
No, and he's self-funding everybody else's campaign, the Democrat Party, which is why they want him in power.
That's true.
And leading to another issue that's huge in Illinois.
If you do want to go back to abortion, though, quickly, I mean, it is important to point out that Planned Parenthood is so excited about their business model. Okay, so they have a 54% increase in Planned Parenthood and abortions in 1 year. Wow. Last year. Like, you want to talk about a growth business in Illinois? It's abortion. It's abortion. USA Today did an incredible article. It was really long, very in-depth article, and they all focused on Carbondale, Illinois. So USA Today, national publication. Everybody's been doing these articles about the Roe v. Wade being taken away with the Dobbs decision in June. Everybody across the nation and locally were doing articles about this issue. So USA Today does a big spread on abortion for their national publication. But where they focus? Carbondale, Illinois. Carbondale, Illinois hadn't had an abortion clinic since, I think it was the 1980s. Now they have 2, and possibly a third is opening.
Wow.
And that's because Illinois has become the center, the hub of activity for abortion, as surrounding states have put in reasonable, common sense restrictions. So this is a growth business. This is why you have multiple abortion clinics either currently on our border or coming up on our border. So you've got one right outside of St. Louis. You've got one in Danville that's going to open up. I mean, literally 5 miles from the Indiana border. You've got one that opened up in Flossmoor, one that opened up in Waukegan, another one that's trying to reopen up in Rockford. Then you've got this Carbondale one, which is on the Amtrak line from New Orleans and Memphis. So this is a growth industry. And then I've heard, and I'm trying to track this down, so this is rumor right now, I'll admit it.
Okay.
But I heard from a very, very, very credible firsthand source that University of Illinois Chicago is offering housing to women seeking an abortion. So I am trying to track that down.
Wow.
So there's no expense that they won't pay to have abortion as the holy grail here.
They're liberals. They're the height of hypocrisy. They really
sure.
are. You know, they say that they're for all lives. You know, Black Lives Matter, this lives matter. But the fact is, they are not for the unborn life. 60 million babies have been killed since 1973, Roe versus Wade. And it's a beautiful thing, was overturned. Justice Roberts wasn't for it. I don't know. He's Catholic, supposedly, but he wasn't for it on a 5-4 decision. And we can thank President Trump for putting conservative judges on the Supreme Court for it to be overturned. Now we have to deal with liberal states, you know, like Illinois and New York. In New York, the baby, on the day the baby is born, they can kill the baby on the operating table. That's you know, evil in my mind, you know. And Illinois is leading to that direction. And if there was a way to overturn or restrict these abortion laws, I'm all for it.
Well, they are out of sync with the public and with public polling on this topic. There's no doubt about that. And so if you can marry the two up and you can get some, you know, is abortion going to be overturned, or are we going to get a heartbeat bill in the state of Illinois? No, we're not. We're not. I mean, unfortunately, that's the reality where we are right now. But even the Dobbs decision, which everybody's decrying, and the left is just apoplectic over it. I mean, they just go nuts over the Dobbs decision. It was a 15-week abortion ban. 15 weeks? I mean, you've got European countries that are much more restrictive than 15 weeks. Much more. And I mean, right now, Illinois is on par with like North Korea and China when it comes to this, to the types of abortions that we allow, the extent, the no restrictions. And so most people actually aren't even at 15 weeks when you pull this. Most people are first trimester. That is far before 15 weeks. That's where most people are. And most people are for parental notice. The majority of people do not think taxpayers should fund it. So there's a lot of common ground we can find with folks, and but we're going to have to win seats in the legislature to get some more, take out some of these just horrific Democrats who this is their rallying point.
The Republicans have to come out and vote. The silent majority has to come out and vote. Don't sit out in 2024.
Well, we have to make arguments to people, though, and we have to elevate the conversation with our neighbors, friends, folks, let them know what's really going on policy-wise.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Immigration, there's another issue. It goes to one issue after another issue, you know, and we have illegals in our police stations in Chicago. In the 25th Police District, I keep saying this, they had a case of the measles, right?
Yes.
Right, Walter?
Outbreak.
Yeah, an outbreak at the 25th Police District.
Well, and I would imagine that not far behind, we'll see what they've already seen in New York, which they have seen a polio outbreak and tuberculosis. So those two things, very preventable. And now they're coming in through the southern border, and you're endangering the rest of the population.
Right. And last I heard, coming into a country illegally, that's a crime. That's the last I heard. But, is there any way to overturn that, a sanctuary state?
Well, I mean, not right now. You have to win elections.
Right,
I mean,
right.
If you do that, or if you got some presidential, so arguably you can have a law that's in place and it's unenforceable because the funding's not there to keep up with it, or federal law is an impediment and a restriction on actually enforcing it. So it could be on the books, but it's not able to actually be actionable. So, I guess that would be our hope, is that the federal government comes in and does something to clamp down on this illegal immigration and refuses to fund it, absolutely refuses to fund it, and then also jeopardizes police funding to local governments and state governments if they don't enforce federal immigration laws. That's where the power would come in because money talks.
At the end of the day, they get free food, free shelter, free everything, and you have a huge homeless issue in Illinois. And our vets.
Food, shelter, legal care, education. One person I like to highlight is Delia Ramirez. She's a congresswoman. I don't know how much time we have left. A few more minutes. Okay. Anyway, she's a congresswoman. She won the 3rd congressional district, but prior to that, she was a state legislator. So she was in the House of Representatives. And she's the one who put together the bill allowing for non-citizens to receive health care benefits fully funded by the taxpayer. Now, at first it was 65 and above, then it went down to 42 and above. If you're a non-citizen, which means you're here illegally, that's being polite, is using the word non-citizen, you get all your health care paid for by the taxpayers. Well, her first estimate of this program was $2 million. Well, when they first implemented the program, the first month ended up being $2 million. Subsequent to that, they were spending hundreds of millions of dollars on the program, to the point where in spring session, they estimated that this program was going to cost Illinoisans $1.1 billion. $1.1 billion. From 3 years ago, an estimate of $2 million, which was a complete lie, complete fabrication. The Pritzker knew it. He signed the bill anyway. Delia Ramirez never had to prove up her numbers with any sort of studies or metrics. They all knew it was a lie. They lied about the cost. And then it's going to be $1.1 billion. Pritzker said, okay, well, that's a little bit too much. So he backed it away and said, in this fiscal year, taxpayers will only fund that program. Healthcare for non-citizens will fund that program to the tune of $550 million. Wow. That's in the budget. Now, trust me, he's taking a lot of hits because he said we're going to freeze it for 65 and over. And we're not going to let anybody, in the 42-year range, any more people in either. So he's basically froze the program, right, in place, and that's his way to control costs. But he's taken heat for that, and I do not doubt that there will be some sort of supplemental appropriation needed to fund this program. But $550 million is not going to education. It's not going to roads. It's not going to public safety. It's going to illegal immigrant health care, when our own citizens, veterans, people struggling to pay for health care costs, people who don't have dental insurance. Boom. We're not taking care of our people. We're taking care of others. It's wrong.
It is very wrong. It's very wrong.
Yeah.
And that being said, we're going to commercial break.
Okay.
And we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Producing your own podcast can be frustrating.
Test 1, 2. Ah!
which is why I'm glad to be introducing the brand new multi-format network. We offer digital media, podcasting, and radio broadcasting professional standard production and syndication. Whether you're looking to bolster and polish your business presentations for a Zoom interview, host your podcast, or push your nationally syndicated radio broadcast to a satellite, we can facilitate your every need. So when you're ready to look, sound, and be professional, don't just try to do it yourself. Contact the professionals at the new multi-format network, the Multi-Format Network. From professional syndication to personal vindication, we've got your back. Shoot us an email, mfngeneralmanager@gmail.com. mfngeneralmanager@gmail.com.
Hello, radio listeners. Welcome to WCGO 1590 AM or 95.9 FM. We have a new conservative show on the airwaves, and it's called Pat and Wally's Conservative Talk. I'm your co-host, Pat Gibbons. That being said, I'm going to pass the mic on to my friend and co-host, Wally. Hey, Wally, what do you hear? What do you say?
Hey, how's everyone doing today? We're just going to talk about the future about Chicago crime and the veterans in Chicago.
Tune in Mondays and Tuesdays from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Conservative Talk Radio with Pat and Wally. Should be a great show. We look forward to your engagement. We'll be talking about safety issues in the city of Chicago, how our veterans need help and assistance, better needed care, and also, too, very importantly, we are going to talk about the Chicago mayor that needs to be called out. I'm Pat.
I'm Wally.
And this is Pat and Wally's Conservative Talk. Tune in to Pat and Wally's Conservative Talk on Mondays and Tuesdays from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. starting June 5th.
It is estimated that 1.5 million people are arrested for DUI every year in the United States. In Illinois alone, over 30,000 motorists are arrested for DUI. Driving under the influence of alcohol, marijuana, or drugs is one of the most complex of traffic charges on the books. Most people do not understand the complexities of the standardized field sobriety tests, which are horizontal gaze nystagmus, the walk and turn, and the one-leg stand test. Due to improper testing procedures, many people are wrongfully charged with DUI. Whether you have been charged with a DUI or an attorney handling DUI cases, the book DUIs Decoded explains the proper procedures for standardized field sobriety testing, breathalyzer testing, and the penalties in Illinois for driving under the influence.
Real estate, be it residential or commercial, is often a person's most significant and priciest asset. Entering into a contract to buy or sell a real estate property is much more than just filling in the missing blanks on the printed contract. It's wise to hire a lawyer to prepare or review the offer to purchase real estate and take full advantage of his legal expertise. With Mark Sheblo, you will gain an attorney with over 26 years of legal practice and one who has helped thousands of clients to buy or sell their homes or investment property. We will safeguard your interests and might be able to even negotiate a better bargain than a client without proper legal counsel ever could. Oftentimes, a prospective buyer will submit an offer without first consulting an attorney, not realizing that once the offer is accepted by the seller, it becomes a binding contract, and the terms of that contract are not easy to be changed afterwards. Likewise, as a seller, you too will benefit from first consulting an attorney before signing. Feel free to call us for consultation at the law offices of Mark Sheblo at 773-775-5050. Our website is sheblolawoffice.com. Mark Sheblo can be reached 6 days a week at 773-775-5050, Monday through Saturday, located at 5945 North Elston Avenue in Chicago. That's attorney Mark Sheblo, 773-775-5050.
Okay, we're back on Pat and Wally's Conservative Talk on WCGO 1590 AM. We would like to hear from you. Our phone number is 877-711-5611. Again, 877-711-5611 to hear with great conservative Republican Jeanne Ives. Jeanne?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, I want to say something. You mentioned schools. Money should go to schools. Chicago public schools, I mean, it's a disaster. All right.
Oh, no, don't get me wrong here. No more money should go to Chicago public schools.
Okay.
No, it's a criminal enterprise at this point.
Right.
They're taking in billions of dollars, and they're spending up to $30,000 per student.
Okay.
And in fact, I was just looking this up the other day, but I mean, only about 25% of the kids read or do math at grade level, and if you're African American student. I think it's like, oh gosh, it's under 10% that are at grade level it's about 11% that are at grade level in English. I think it's about 6%. Yes, 6% that are at grade level in math.
That's crazy.
It's nuts. It's not 6%. 100 kids walk into the classroom and only 6 of them walk out of there knowing math. If you're a black student in Chicago, crazy. That's criminal.
Right. I know in high school, at the senior level for CPS, the average reading level for a senior is at 2nd grade. Something like that. 2nd grade or 3rd grade. It's not high at all. And when my dad, he was a security officer at a public high school, and he said, and this was 10 years ago, reading level for a senior, 4th grade level over there. Not good. Not good at all. And also, I won't say the high school's name. They were doctoring the books where a student supposedly was there 5 days a week, was only there 2 days a week. And that was to get state funding. So if it's happening at one school, it's probably happening across the board at other schools.
Sure. Everything about the education funding formula needs to be audited. Of course, there was a massive change in 2017 about how we determine education funding. Look, at that time, Rahm Emanuel was jumping for joy because he's like, wow, we're getting even more money than we thought we would ever get. I mean, like to the tune of $450 million more than they expected to get. So the whole education funding formula is still skewed to Chicago's favor. They still get special grants that no other school in the entire state gets. They get treated with kid gloves, and that education funding formula changed in 2017. State taxpayers started to pick up Chicago pension costs. Which, that's a whole nother situation. But I mean, the bottom line is we spend a lot of money on education and kids do not come out wholly educated. And it's true in the suburbs too. In my own school district in the suburbs, I mean, less than half the kids read or do math at grade level. That's abysmal. And I don't want to hear about the COVID excuse.
Right.
We're done with excuses. And oh, by the way, it was the teacher unions that kept the kids out of school. It's the teacher unions who are trying to sexualize the classroom. And the NEA National Education Association just had their annual conference, at which Joe Biden, of course, spoke. And, of course, he said, these are our children. No, they're not your children. But the NEA thinks that they're children, too. And their agenda with your children is horrific.
Right.
So people better start waking up.
You have transsexuals teaching now. It's disgusting.
Well, they actually passed some resolutions at their annual meeting. The meeting that is all about protecting the LGBTQ community and ensuring that not only can employees transition and have all the support for that, but that resolutions that are regarding it as part of the bargaining position with local unions, that they take up the cause of the LGBT and that they take up the cause that these kids can transition without parental knowledge, which we know is happening. We know that's the official guidance coming from our own Illinois State Board of Education, is that your child is allowed to transition at school behind the parent's back. That is the official guidance from ISB. But unfortunately, schools are taking that guidance, writing policy about it, and it's becoming their own policy. It's not law. It's not law. It's guidance. They're treating it as law, and you'll have even conservative enclaves. Their public schools are saying it's okay to transition kids behind parents' backs. It's happening.
There should be a federal law against that.
Absolutely.
Really
no, there should be a parental rights law, really, really strong one. Yeah. So education's a problem. I mean, and then they got rid of the Invest in Kids scholarship program. It's not dead yet. It's not dead until December 31st. Let me be clear about that. And of course, there was all this sort of rhetoric from the Democrats, like, well, we've got time to consider this in the fall veto session. We can bring this up. This is the scholarship program that has been used. I think they've gotten like 40,000 scholarships. Right now, nearly 10,000 kids are on a scholarship. It allows them the benefit of exiting a failing Chicago public school system and then going to a school system of their parents' choice using tax credit scholarships. It's a very popular program, oh, by the way. And as other states, both Indiana and Iowa are going to near universal choice or completely universal choice in Iowa, saying doesn't matter, your income level, doesn't matter where you go to school, every parent's going to get this allotment of money to take to whatever school of their choice. That's where our neighboring states are going. Illinois is looking at shutting down the only program they have to offer school choice, which is the Invest in Kids Scholarship Program. It's shameful. It's disgusting because the people who are shutting it down, like L.G. Sims, the grandstander, he went to private school. And the public school where he is, where he is in the high school in the district that he represents, 0% of the kids perform at math. 0%. And he goes to private school and he's shutting down opportunities, forcing kids in his district to go to a failing public school. Shame on him. Shame on Don Harmon, who went to St. Ignatius. Shame on Chris Welch, the Speaker of the House, whose kids go to Timothy Christian in Elmhurst. I mean, shame on these people.
Right, total hypocrites.
100% hypocrites. They're all in that realm. All of them. Ann Stava Murray went to Bennett Academy. Anna Moeller, another state rep, her kids went to St. Anne's in Elgin. You've got people down in Decatur, the representative there. Escaping my name now. She's a product of private school.
Wow. Wally, you were saying something.
Pritzker's a product of private school, for heaven's sakes.
Jesus. And the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
And
Wally, you were saying something to the effect that students from Catholic schools are tutoring students at public schools. Is that correct?
yes, students from St. Ignatius are tutoring kids in public schools.
Of course. Of course. Yeah.
And
Good for them. That's
forever.
great. Good. That's good. But they should have the opportunity to go to St. Ignatius.
Right.
It's about
Like Mike
it's
Madigan
about the
did.
Bucks.
That's right. It
It's
is.
not about the Bucks.
No. So, I mean, it's a crisis. Education is a real crisis in this state. And we spend lots of money in the suburbs. 70% of your property taxes go to the schools, and they're not performing very well either in many cases. So, yeah.
It's a shame. What can one do to overturn that, to get those reading scores up, to get those math scores up?
Well, I mean, there's this whole idea, public school exit. I know Illinois Family Institute's been running that program. Public school exit. You just need to exit the public schools, starve them from their students, and watch them as they recede into into nothing. But that's a long haul. That's a really long haul. So some people are saying reform public schools. Can that happen in Illinois? That's a tough climb, because really the teacher unions own the schools, and all the administrators came up from the teacher ranks. There's not a single free thought amongst the entire organization. They are all lockstep with the NEA. They're all, in my opinion, many of them are Marxists. Many of them do think that they own your children and that they know best. And so we've got it's a real uphill climb. I mean, I think parents really should consider we need more people doing smaller sort of pods where they come together with other parents and maybe hire a single teacher to model this through, maybe homeschool more, maybe hybrids, whatever it is.
I'm for homeschooling, for sure.
Sure.
I'm going to say the high school's name, but the high school my dad did security in a few years ago, what was going on, administrators ordered teachers to give students a curve, no matter what. 30% pass that student because it looks good. Pass that student. And all these high schools, if you notice, they have college next to it because they get pre-credits. This is scary stuff because we have students with a 4th, 3rd grade reading level. That's going to be your future doctor, future lawyer. This is the future, and this is scary. And this is what's coming out of CPS. This is the stuff that's not talked about.
Well, I mean, that literally could happen to some degree as they start to say, we're not going to take test scores into consideration for college entrance. We're not going to take them into consideration for getting into law school, into medical school. We're going to get away from the scores, and we're just going to kind of look at your profile and find out what you did. And we'll read into the profile whether or not you're worthy and a good enough person to do this. We're not looking for folks that actually have some skills, right? So that is a problem. It's really problematic. So, I don't know where this leads, but it's going to essentially, I feel like the country's going to be carried by a few that have real skills and or real knowledge and know-how, and then everybody's going to replicate that through some sort of AI programming or something like that. And we're going to have a whole class of citizens that are just sort of not as informed about anything, or not have a lot of skill sets. But there's real, we need people that are the backbone of our country. Really are farmers, are ranchers, are people in the energy industry. Like, I'm not talking solar, I'm like talking real energy districts that know how to drill for oil, know how to refine the oil, know how to do real things that are, positives in this, know how to manufacture goods, know how to put in air conditioning units, know how to build a road. I mean, those skills are the skills that are necessary day in and day out and all the time. And all these other folks that are, that only have soft skills, or that are muddling their way through, they're going to be a problem.
Right, trades. That's what you're going to need.
Trades are great.
Mm-hmm. Electricians, you're going to need them.
Absolutely.
HVAC, heating,
you're going to need engineers though too to plan it all out and map it all out, do everything like that. Yeah.
And what do you think about that affirmative action?
Yeah, so
overturned.
That's really interesting because, I guess, it took about 150 years, but finally we really do believe in the 14th Amendment, which means that all are created equal. 150 years of this, we've been through it, right? Yes. And we're right back to 1968 when that passed, or 1868, excuse me. Mm-hmm. So, good. Finally, great. But, we'll see if the colleges don't find their own sort of workaround in regards to that as well. It's concerning. Let's just put it that way. It's very concerning, especially, I'm the mother of 4 white guys. Mm-hmm. Why should they be marginalized when they've worked their ass off?
That's true.
Yes.
It's true.
And then they're going to have scholarships for sports guys and get a free ride. And all that. Mm-hmm. So,
education's a huge issue.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And not too long after that, the Supreme Court said, no, you're not going to get a free pass on those loans, Oh,
well, now you're hitting my hot button. Now, this is this is one of those things that would just sets me off. The idea that I should pay off your personal debts is so offensive to me. Mm-hmm. This is the height of un-Americanism, is to think that I am going to be forced to pay off your personal debts that could have gone to beer money at Cam's in Champaign Urbana, like the most popular bar down there, right? I could go rent for your high-end apartment, whatever, like Uber Eats that you wanted to do. You can spend, spring break in, Fort Lauderdale, whatever it might be. You can spend student loan money on anything.
I know. And
then, you know what our Illinois Board of Higher Education said about this, though? The Illinois Board of Higher Education, of course, came out with their own sort of press release on this. This guy had the gall. He had the gall to say to Illinois taxpayers, well, you know what? Who this really hurts are those that didn't even graduate from college. Really? So that's even more of a reason for me to pay off their student loan because they couldn't even make it through college?
No, thank you.
This tells you that the entire thing is a scam. So
it is.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us, Jeannie.
You bet. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thanks.
And that being said,
all right.
Take care, everybody. Have a God bless day. Take care.
Take care, everyone.
It's
Producing your own podcast can be frustrating.
Test 1, 2.
Which is why I'm glad to be introducing the brand new multi-format network. We offer digital media, podcasting, and radio broadcasting professional standard production and syndication. Whether you're looking to bolster and polish your business presentations for a Zoom interview, host your podcast, or push your nationally syndicated radio broadcast to a satellite, we can facilitate your every need. So when you're ready to look, sound, and be professional, don't just try to do it yourself. Contact the professionals at the new multi-format network, the Multi-Format Network. From professional syndication to personal vindication, we've got your back. shoot us an email, mfngeneralmanager@gmail.com. mfngeneralmanager@gmail.com.